Countdown. Dum dum dum.
Dun, dun, dun.
But you see that I don't. I
Do you
have
know? Right. I get
17,000
advance.
windows
I get advance
open.
warning. This is now being live streamed. Get over what we're doing, ladies.
There we go. We're live.
Yeah.
Act like professionals.
Yeah.
Um,
Up with that.
so before we start, a couple of things. I wanted to congratulate myself. No, congratulate Marie Samson because she's celebrating 10 years, I believe, of Slice of Life. She's one of the trainers for IPS in our coaching app. She's not watching, I don't think, today. Are we live? We are. Fiona is in charge of ensuring that technology works.
We'll
Um,
keep up with that.
and but she's celebrating 10 years, and she's celebrating this month with a really, really good month. So I'm
Brilliant.
really happy, really happy. And that was a little bit of an inspiration, I have to be honest, for today's call because I very much see. So I am inspired, but then every time that I think about the photographers I know have been in work in business for this long, I'm curious about how you've done it. I'm curious about the changes you've seen, but I'm also inspired and I admire the fact that you've been able to navigate so many changes and really, I mean, muddy the industry has been. It's just a completely different scenario now, I think. No, I think I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. Completely different. It was easy back then.
When 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 did you start? Remind me. Sorry, I'm being ignorant now and can't remember.
Just over 16 years. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I
And
started the business nearly 17 years, but I started shooting babies just over 16 years. Yeah. One of the first in the UK to start with the babies.
what made you start with newborn?
Does anyone
Oh,
remember Flickr?
Yay.
Yeah, the original photography
oh
community.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Of
way before
course.
Facebook.
Hmm.
They had groups and stuff. So you could join a group with people who used your camera, for example, or who had wanted to shoot newborns or whatever. And my friend Shelley Wall, um, we would sit on Flickr chatting and going, "Oh my God, look at this photo! Oh my God, look at this photo!" And it was the newborn photography that they were doing in America with Kelly Ryden, right? Way back when. And we were like, wow. And that was it. Something just clicked. Because I was shooting rugby club calendars and award ceremonies and weddings and just, the usual thing that you do when you start, you just shoot everything. And I hadn't settled on what I wanted to do. And then I spotted newborn photography and that was it. Because I've always loved tiny babies because they don't argue back. Um, um, and I just thought that's it. If they can do it, I can do it. So that was it. I just got the bit between my teeth and ran with it, really.
And
Did you have
and
the, sorry, Julia, did you have the obvious Instagram fails to start with?
Well, there was none of them at the time.
No,
Facebook.
but like looking back now,
Yeah. I mean, I did things like, for example, well, basically what I did was I'd started a Facebook page, which I think I'd got 110 people on it or something. Um, and most of them were friends that I badgered. And I would literally I just put on a really crappy flyer that said free baby photos under 3 weeks or whatever. I'll come to you. I had a beanbag from Tesco or something, one that you put your feet on that was completely too squishy, a couple of crappy blankets, and I think I had a Canon 400D, and I would literally turn and I would get people going, "Yeah, I've got a baby." So I would literally turn up at their door and go, "Listen, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe you'll be safe, but I don't know what I'm doing." And then I would give them all the photos that I took. But I'd also put all of them on Facebook, every single
well,
one of them, right?
that's proof that times have changed.
Yeah. And then other people, because it was so new and it was free, um, I was inundated but I only did free for a month, and then I said, right, cut off is the 31st of October, believe it or not. And then I started charging, I think 40 quid with 10 images or something. It was stupid. But that's when that people stopped wanting it as much. And then I didn't get a shoot for ages. And then I just re-edited and reposted loads of the same images, flipped them or whatever. Went, oh, great session today, lied through my teeth that I'd had these amazing babies in or whatever. And it just slowly went from there. I learned on the job, literally, in terms of marketing it and actually shooting it.
So I'm not gonna ask Fiona the same question.
You're not, or you're now going to.
Well, do you want to share? Because you didn't start with newborns, or did
No,
you?
I
No,
did. Yeah, I did.
you did.
Yeah. I was working full time at the time. I had a spell off my work, and I just had folk having kids round about, and they're like, take photos. And I did. And mine was a proper Instagram. The first one I ever did. Baby was probably nearly 8 weeks old. Because I didn't know at the time that it was easier. And I had this massive basket from Matalan stuffed to the gunnels. And then baby was literally like that in the basket. And I thought, whoa, this is amazing. I was probably a year or 18 months after Maddie. But again, at the time, like there was no community in the UK. So you couldn't see what others were doing. I really struggled to make the transition. Folk around here loved babies being photographed at sort of 12, 16, 18 weeks. So I really took me a good 4 or 5 years to get to convince people that actually the squishy stage is the fun stage to photograph.
But so, am I right thinking this is something that I have experienced a lot when I was doing. It's still there, the business assessment. I'll actually put the link, but I went through a couple of months where I was doing so many of the free business assessments, and I saw a real split between photographers who had been in business for longer than 5, 6 years, and the newer generation, in the sense that the people who have photographers who had been in business for longer were struggling even more to get their head around how things had changed. And my gut feeling, but hopefully you can either confirm or actually give me your version of that, is that back then you didn't intentionally get into business, it happened kind of thing. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So photography came first and then it became a business.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I didn't set out and go, right, let's start a photography business and then pick up the camera. It was pick up the camera, enjoy it, get asked to do stuff, say yes to everything, and then go, oh, I suppose I better charge for this and make a business out of it then. It was definitely that way around.
And this now leads me to the first question that I'm reading, because my memory doesn't allow me to remember what I was thinking an hour ago. So I'm sure that we know all these changes we've talked about, but there must be things and foundations that, even if not intentionally, you find yourself going back to when there's massive changes and it feels like, oh my God, what's going on? And then maybe after a little while, you realize that actually these are the things I need to go back to, or I've gone back to get the business going again and thriving or growing.
I think some things don't change, and that is staying visible. That has never changed. You've got to stay visible. It's just how you go about that has changed. And there's something else that happens with people who've been going as long as we have, and that is that we're just older people who don't like change. You know, that, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the bottom line. If I was permanently 25, I would just be flying and go, yeah, change, great, woohoo. But I'm not, and I just don't like change. That's what makes it harder. We don't want to have to, we think we know it all, and we don't want to have to learn new stuff.
Sorry, Fiona.
Yeah, no, I
I
totally agree with
it's your
Maddie.
turn.
The single hardest thing is as you get older, think, right, I know this now. I can do this. And this I enjoy, and I think it's worse when you enjoy what you do. So when you enjoy it, then somebody turns around and like the transformation over the last couple of years, it's totally flipped on its head. You know, what we knew, what we did day in, day out has gone. And all of a sudden you're back at square one, like, I'm old, really old now, and I've got to learn new stuff.
Mm.
And you get to a certain age as a lady, and your brain says, no, we no like learning new things. Comes in this year, out the other, and it just goes into an ether that never existed. And it's like, come on.
Remembering it as well, there are so many different things. So, when you think about, I've got to stay visible, I've got to stay current. So this isn't just the marketing, but it's about the work itself. You've got to keep on top of what everybody else is doing. So you've got to remember to schedule stuff. Then you've got to remember to promote this session. Then you've got to remember to do this. Then you've got to remember. And then I'll go a week and go, oh crap, I forgot to do that bit because I can't keep it all in at the same time. And writing it down doesn't help
No, no, because you turn the
because you
page.
skim it. Because you go, oh, right, okay, I'll do that in a minute. And literally, you've gone to do it and it's gone.
Yeah.
That
In
quick.
from a photography point of view, in the sense of your um, work directly with clients when you're in the studio, IPS and so on, what are the things that have stayed the same that you're like, once I learned this X years ago and it's still
Just
working?
client interaction, because I think I said this to you recently, that a huge proportion of your success is actually your personality. Your business brand is your personality. So when you've been going as long as we have, that's got a life of its own. You don't have to nurture that. You don't have to relearn that. That never changes because I never change. Not as far as my clients are concerned. In fact, I think I find it easier now because I'm always older than my clients.
Yeah.
So they kind of have slightly more respect for me now than they did when I was started because I kind of, they know I know what I'm doing because of the confidence I have in the fact that I know what I'm doing. They don't see my lack of confidence with the rest of it, like the social media stuff. So that side of it hasn't changed. In fact, it only gets better. As long as I can still produce the work that
I
they
think
expect.
again with age and experience, you learn obviously you learn how to work with people and in particular tiny people. There's I think somebody asked a question in Maddie's group yesterday, how would you deal with this? And it's a lot of it you can't necessarily put your finger on because it's something you do. So actually the client interaction bit is, in my opinion, what we do is the easy bit for us because we've done it for so long. It is now almost instinctive.
Yes.
But then it's the everything else that goes around that. The messaging on social media, the having to be present all the time, the demand for reaction engagement. The immediacy thing. That's where I really struggle. I think everything's now, today, this
Yeah.
second.
It is, but and this is where things are flipped the other way, or the challenges are the other way around. So when I was doing the business assessment, and Alice, I don't know if she's still here, but I remember having a conversation with her. She hasn't been in business for not even 10 years, and she said to me, all of these, I see in your art people struggling with how things have changed in terms of converting people and the conversation and all of that. And she said, for me, I don't struggle with that because the way things are now, it's all I have ever experienced. So there's no good or bad. It's like, this is what I have to do to run a business. This is what I do. However, and so that is a positive. And when I was doing the business assessment, I saw this clearly because this newer generation of photographers were like, they were not questioning the current state of affairs, while the older ones were behind because they were trying to get their heads around changes. But the newer generation often struggles with the fact that results, and I'm not talking about marketing, I'm talking results. Having a business that is what you have envisioned takes time. The immediacy and what they hear from other makes them think that if I check all the boxes in a month, that's me done, and everything should work perfectly. And I think there's a risk to that, because then you get deflated if that doesn't happen. Again, I'm not talking necessarily about the number of bookings and so on, but business is a process.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got a taste of that when I moved the studio because I'd set up, right? So I set up a business that was actually pretty easy. When I look back now, it was easy. I mean, yes, I was selling a service that was really new, therefore it was, to book a newborn photographer is like rocking horse shit. I was the only one. Therefore, I had people driving 3 hours, right? So I had bookings coming out my ears, and it was easy. I didn't even have to try. I just had to post a photo, and I'd get bookings off it. So then I moved studio, and you kept saying to me, it'll take time. And I'm going, when? When's it going to happen? I want it to happen now. So even though I was doing
When
everything,
is time?
yeah, no. So yeah, I can kind of relate to that. It didn't matter how good the photos were and that I was doing the same stuff. It was more complicated than that. Yeah, difficult time.
Um, well, I'll ask you these questions this question in a moment about relocating and all of that. Um, Actually, I'll flip things around and I will ask you this now. So, um, one thing that I always say, that's probably people are bored of hearing this, is if you are in business for longer than 5 minutes, you will go through times that are difficult. Um, Personally, and in terms of the market, the industry, and all that, can you, if anybody who's watching us and is still awake is going through a difficult time with their business, what are the one or two things that you would recommend them that you have done and it's like, this is what you should try?
Do exactly what Julia tells you.
Thank you. Now, no pressure here.
Um, and just this is the one thing that always worked before, just stay consistent. Even when it feels like it's not working, everything you do is a slow burner. You've got to play the long game. Um, so it doesn't matter what we're talking about, you're never going to see results instantly. So just keep your foot on the gas.
I agree, and Fiona, I'll let you answer that question in a second. The tendency that we have, this is something my coach years ago told me, is that when things aren't working, we go and try to come up with something completely new that we've never done. And it's like, I see this with mini sessions all the time. People maybe struggle with bookings and they're like, let's do an ad for 3 types of mini sessions I've never done. You can try a little bit of new things, a few new things to see how that works, but it's the core stuff that makes your business at difficult times. This is my coach literally said, you will feel like this isn't working, go and try something new. You need to take care of the core products, services that you offer first, and then you can dedicate 10% of your time to something new.
I just thought of a
Uh,
great analogy. Sorry, a really good analogy. I watched Bake Off last night, and they had to build this incredible chocolate structure, right, with dripping chocolate and all the rest of it. And the one that won it was the guy said, I just stuck to what I knew and I did it well. Everybody else tried to overcomplicate it. They tried to be clever. They tried too many different components and bits fell off and it just looked a bit rubbish. Whereas the guy stuck to what he knew and he trusted his instincts on it and he did what he knows very well. That's kind of what we're talking about, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now you got me thinking about instincts, but this is gonna require a whole new live and conversation. Fiona,
I'm going to steal a
difficult
word.
times.
I'm going to steal a word from the indomitable Alistair Campbell, MD that was in around in the late 90s, early 2000s. Will know who Alistair Campbell is, but he uses the word perseverance. And it's a combination of perseverance and resilience. As Mary said, you just need to persevere with what you know and do it supremely well, and then have the resilience to keep coming back day after day after day, and just keep doing it. And it, you know, we've been had ups and downs. You know, who'd have thought the halcyon days of COVID would look back on fondly. There's, you know, we've had
So
ups and
sure.
downs. I know it's mad, ups and downs, but you come in, and when your clients come in the door, you smile, and you make them feel wonderful. And if you can make your clients feel wonderful, they will spend the money that they have to spend.
And they will talk about you in a positive way to other people.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely.
Can I also add something to this?
No.
Thank you. Um, Fiona, you reminded me of something a few weeks ago, I think, probably a couple of months ago. A friend asked me, a non-photography friend, we were talking about my business and so on, and I said to her, she said something about skills and so on. I can't remember exactly. And I said, well, honestly, I think 70% is great. And being able to keep going when things feel difficult and feel hard. This is my experience. It's the doing it when it's difficult and when you don't want and so you don't feel like it. I would also say, but this is specifically for times that feel more challenging from a marketing getting clients point of view. I would say that if I didn't have the background that I have, and if I had not spent time working directly with photographers, I would really struggle to understand change. So to understand how to stay visible these days, and to understand what should I invest my time on. So sometimes when there is too much uncertainty over the core strategies that you should be using, I think sometimes you need to now it's going to sound like I'm promoting myself, but that's not what I'm doing, but try and learn or to get help on those specific strategies rather than trusting your colleagues and asking questions to them because their view is biased, I think. What I'm trying to say is it's so good to ask other photographers, read groups and so on. Those are very, very useful resources, but you need sometimes experts that are able to tell you to look at your business from an objective point of view and be like, this is what you need to be doing because this works.
Yeah, because in Facebook groups are great communities. But if you're struggling with mini sessions, for example, you go into a group and go, I can't do mini sessions. You'll get somebody who just struck gold once telling you how they did it. And they live on the other side of the world in a completely different demographic. And you have no
Yeah.
way of doing that. So their advice is they're just telling you their story. They don't know anything about you and your business. So you go, oh, it worked for them. And everyone wants a quick fix. So you go off and do what they did or
And then it doesn't work.
buy their amazingly £1,000 course on how they did their mini sessions and made 17 grand off it. And you waste your money because how do you know that their method is applicable to you and your business and where you live? So you need to step outside the community that is just going to give you confirmation bias all the time and just tell you what you want to hear and find somebody, like you said, who's going to be completely objective, who's going to dig deep into what your business is and how it ticks and where you are and what is going to work for you. That to me is worth its weight in gold.
This takes me to the next step. So let's talk about photography a little bit and style. So this is not I'm not trying to be controversial or anything. I'm curious because
Right.
I had so many photographers. It might become okay. Sorry, I need to think a bit. Uh, so many of my clients are saying to me, "Oh, I am building a boho corner, or I'm doing, adding that style of newborn because it's what people want now." I am curious about your view on this. Is it what clients are asking for? Have you seen an increase in clients asking for more boho on lifestyle and everything? Or no? I'm curious.
I think it's a pick up a trend from a Facebook group.
Yep.
That's literally all people are doing. They're seeing somebody else do it, a boho corner, and it's gorgeous. Fair play. It's not me, but it's gorgeous, right? Um, and because it's almost like they make an assumption that that's what clients are asking for. Not necessarily their clients, but clients must be asking for it because they keep seeing people doing it in groups and posting about their clients asking for it or whatever. So I don't think it's necessarily my clients aren't asking for it because they're not booking me for that because that's not what I'm showing them I can do.
And is it fair to say this is I have clients doing both. I work with photographers doing both, and I don't see a difference so far in, oh yeah, those who are doing that are doing a lot better than the others. Absolutely, it's the same. Do you think it is something? If that's not me, if it's not my style, should I still try it and see if I enjoy it or not
No,
as
do
a
it if you
photographer?
want. Do it if you want to do it.
Yeah.
If you think, God, I'd love to do that, do it.
Mhm.
By all means, do it. Because if you love doing something or real get, an itch for doing it, you're probably going to do it quite well. But if you're only doing it to copy other people, you're going to be struggling with how they did it and the lighting and the editing because it's a whole package of getting it right. Whereas it goes back to sticking to what you know and do it well. I won't budge on what I'm doing. I had somebody message me recently and say, please don't stop doing color because everybody else is stopping doing color. And my God, it's boring. My Facebook is full of boring photos of everyone doing neutral and boho. So I'm going, no chance am I going to stop doing color. Um, I
And
do get more people asking for neutral, but that's because I've just added a question on my questionnaire asking people their favorite color. And I quite often get neutral, which is fine, but I'll always throw a bit in of what I love. And it certainly, I wouldn't do it just because I saw other photographers doing it a lot.
I'm interested. Fiona, sorry, I keep
no,
I
you're fine.
keep
I think
making you wait.
the
I have a question, Maddie. So now, because you always used to ask what colors you don't like in
Yeah,
your questionnaire. So
yeah,
you've added a question about the favorite color.
yeah. I'd still ask what color people don't like, but then I ask what people's favorite color is, just so that I can be more personal and just so if somebody said I don't like green, I like neutral, then I'll use a bit of neutral and add some splashes of other colors. It just won't be green. So I'm not being too specific, but it just helps me, kind of it avoids people going, oh, I don't like purple. Well, you didn't put that as your not favorite color, that sort of thing. Just means I can target it a little bit more. But it's still quite a vague thing. I'm not making any promises about if you tell me your favorite color, I'm going to use it on everything. I'm still
Fiona,
preserving my style.
your experience with boho and what you're saying changes and requests.
so the caveat to this is I live in a very rural area, and it is as a consequence, it's a very small C conservative. In fact, it's a very large C conservative as well. Small C conservative area. So used to be when I first started out, we were 10 years behind everywhere else. Post social media, we're probably still a good 2 or 3 years behind the trend led orientation. And that's what we're talking about. What we need to be careful of is when the old adage, when America sneezes, the world catches a cold. And that's what's happened just now is that the Americans have gone very pared back, very neutral, and there is a big section that have gone boho. But if that's not who you are, it's like I am the least bohemian person in the world. So if I tried to bring in boho into my repertoire, it would just look fake because it's not genuine. It's not who I am. And that my business, the success of my business is because I am who I am. I'm that kind of steady hand, total opposite of Maddie, very neutral, very muted colours. Because again, that's what sits comfortably. That's what I enjoy. And when you bring your personality into such an intimate business, you can't. I'm going to say can't. I was going to say you can't fail or you have to succeed. You don't have to because there's got to be that resilience there. But it gives you such an easier route to success if you keep yourself who you are.
Yeah, I agree.
So what we're saying, which I'm glad that you're, maybe we're also biased, I don't know, but my what I say to photographers when they tell me that is I don't see this as an absolute, oh yes, the photographers I work with who are doing that are doing a lot better. There's nothing that indicates that to me, but if it's something that you want to do and you want to try, do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that there is a challenge though, and again here I might be wrong, or at least there might be a way that is not entirely clear for me yet, which is I have a couple of photographers doing both, three probably doing both, and offering both as an option, and I think which is possible. Um, it's always about communicating that the right way when people inquire, I think. So they offer it as completely separate sessions. Choose if you want this style or that style. I think there has to be a very, very clear communication because I'm not that sure, convinced that at that stage, at the inquiry stage, people know what they're asking for. I might be wrong, but there has to be full communication in terms of this is what the final gallery might look like. This is what you get. This is the package, I
I think
think.
I think I think people it goes back to don't give people too much choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have a restaurant menu that's got 75 items in it, you're just going to look for the egg and chips because you recognize it, right?
Yeah.
The rest of it is like, ugh, like this, you know. Same as you don't give a newborn client 70 newborn photos because they just pull away and choose five of their favorites because it's too much. So if somebody's scrolling on my Instagram and sees my jewel colors and goes, wow, yes, and then inquires with Lou to book, and she goes, well, what kind of session do you want? Do you want this or do you want boho? They're going to be, what do you mean boho? Right? You know, which one are you?
Yeah, I would
There's
agree.
too
I
much.
think communication needs to be very clear also because you will rarely get people who then say, "Oh, I'm confused." They'll just go with someone else these days, considering they're
Yeah,
inquiring with.
yeah.
Couple of questions. How long, considering how we are more stretched in terms of making the time that we spend on sessions and editing and all that, it has to be optimized because the margins in terms of profitability these days are more important than before. And there is so much more to do that isn't just shooting. How do you, let me now be a little controversial. And this is something I hear a lot from clients who say to me, "Oh, I am a perfectionist, so I cannot edit any quicker." And sometimes that means a week to edit a gallery or so. What would you say to them?
Get your lighting better. Then you don't have to edit anything. Simple as that.
Can I achieve the same
Yeah.
quality?
Well, I mean, if you look at my newborn photos, um, 5 years ago, to achieve the results I achieve now would have taken me hours of messing about, creating shadows and highlights where there weren't any, all sorts of stuff. Yes, Photoshop's better. Yes, Evoto has halved my editing time. But even so, I can now do a full newborn session. If I stay off Facebook and Instagram, I can do, sorry, I did yesterday a full newborn session with 4 composites in just under 2 hours. Done. To the standard that I normally, this is not anything extra, this is to the standard. And the reason is lighting. Once you've got your lighting right, then and understand simple, and that's not throwing presets around. I'm not cheating. It's just a very simple workflow on Lightroom for a batch, and then a quick polish in Evoto for skin, and then just the odd composite in Photoshop. That's it. There's nothing else going on.
But what if, and this is again a doubt for me, what if the I'm a perfectionist means that I'm going to spend that the quality of my work is already good. So I've done everything that you're just saying, but I'm spending an extra hour or an extra half an hour to take that image from 99% to 100%, 100% quality.
Yeah. Well, you're only doing, what are you, I mean, people do this, and I understand why, because I'm a perfectionist, and I can return to an image I shot yesterday and go, ugh, what did I do? And we all do that. I'm always finding fault. But we're in the profit making business, right? And if you're taking, time is money, and if you're taking extra time to go from 99 to 1%, why are you prepared to lose money doing something that your client is never going to know you did and never going to understand and never spot? If you're doing that on every image or every session, that I don't understand why. I have got to the stage where I know my images are very good, and anything I do, only I from that point, only I would see it. And it's going to take time, and time is money. So I just go, okay, that's fine.
I will now be controversial, maybe, before Fiona answered that question. And I would argue that as a client, are we sure that as a client, I prefer to wait a week longer for my images so that you can achieve that extra 1%? I'm not sure.
They don't know I'm doing that process. I shot the session yesterday. I finished the editing 2 hours later, told Lou the gallery was ready, but she will wait another week because I don't want my client to think it was that easy. Right? But if she waited another week, she wouldn't go, oh, it must be really hard then. She's not going to see time that it takes equating to how hard or how much effort I put in. That's not how their mind works.
Fiona, your view on this?
For me, it's really simple. Again, I think I always say I'm a business person that takes photographs. I would have ended up in business somehow. It just happens to be photography. So the 2 things I would say to that person is, 1, write down, try and tally up the amount of money you've spent on training, and come to a total figure and sit it up on the wall. And then work out how many hours you work and what you are making per year, and divide those 2 figures. And if you're making less than £12.60 or whatever it is just now, which if you're going to that nth degree, you absolutely will be making less than £12.60, which is the minimum wage, an hour, then why even bother? Because you could be at home with your family outside enjoying this lovely sunny weather that has disappeared. You could go to Tesco's for 35, 40 hours a week, be getting paid more, have a lot less stress, and have time at home. So it's priorities. As Maddie says, get your lighting right. I'm quite sure that there's lighting right, angles right. The vast majority of your images could be shown to your client there and then.
Yeah.
What we're putting on top should simply be the beauty of the image. It shouldn't be the core of the image.
It should be a polish.
Yeah.
It should be putting your stamp on it.
Yeah.
But you should already be producing images out of the camera that you could just hand over and the client would be happy with.
Yeah.
As soon as you start dressing up that 1% as something you're doing for your client, then you're not putting your client first.
That's about you, not them.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And thank you. The reason why I say thank you is because that sometimes that extra time spent on galleries, or it causes issues that the photographers cannot even see. Sometimes it causes resentment towards a client, or towards the fact that I'm spending so much time editing, and then I don't know, they bought 5, or I cannot do more sessions because it takes so much time. And also because I had this conversation with someone 2 weeks ago. She is been stuck for like 2 months with an editing pile that is not allowing us to run ads, to do anything, because I have too much editing to do. And she isn't one shooting 40 sessions a month, just to be clear. We are in the range of 8 to 10. And to me, it's madness, because maybe I don't have I'm not creative enough or a perfectionist enough. But to me, it's like you're not, you're giving clients a worse experience because they've been waiting for like 8 weeks for a gallery now, and also you're damaging your business by doing that. So you're being a perfectionist in what feels safe to you and what matters to you, but you're not looking at the bigger picture.
That is
I
perfectly
think.
solvable. That's perfectly solvable, easily solvable.
Mhm.
But they've got to want to solve it.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. But I always feel like the bad cop saying that, meaning I'm not against the quality. Absolutely, I'm not advocating for bad quality. I'm saying, you know, you're running a business, and with the idea also that, considering how people work and how we work these days, I wouldn't be happy to wait for 4 weeks for something that I've purchased, to
Well,
be
also
honest,
you
or
start
that I want to.
you're supposedly doing something that you are meant to love. And by creating editing piles like that, because your lighting isn't right, your galleries are too big, you can't edit effectively, whatever, you're killing your own enjoyment out of something that you've created.
Yeah, and, stressful
Yeah,
as well. I think we've bored them enough. I cannot see the comments for some reason, so they might have asked questions and we'll just ignore them all. Maddie, thank you so much. Thank you
welcome.
so much for joining us
You're welcome.
today. Thank you,
Anytime.
Fiona, and
You're very
sorry
welcome.
that I kept interrupting you.
That's quite all right. I know
I
Maddie's
will
your
pay
favourite.
for it.
That's fine.
I will pay for it. And now she's gonna send me
Only because Alan's not
dangerous
here.
week. Yeah, I'm in now the sun is out. France for the retreat. So I'm excited about that. Uh, thank you. And I'll upload this on YouTube. So then if you want to share or rewatch it, you can.
Perfect.
Have a
Bye,
wonderful
guys.
day.
You
Bye
too.
Bye.
bye.